And I'm Mila.
And welcome to the Keva and Milla Show, Reaching and Connecting Minds. Today's guest is the second Vice President of the NAACP, Sheryl Allen-Huff, and we would like to welcome her to our show today.
Hi,
How are you doing
I'm
today?
doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Okay, you are the second Vice President of the NAACP, the local chapter in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how long have you been affiliated with the NAACP?
I've been with this organization about 17 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, a lot of people have heard of the NAACP. Could you explain what the NAACP is?
So the NAACP stands for the National Association of Colored People.
Okay.
And colored people mean with the skin that's on their body. That
Okay.
means we work for, help every race.
Okay. So you all, because I think a lot of people make assumptions and think it's just for colored folks, black
Right.
people,
Right.
but it is for all people.
All,
And that's
everybody.
good
Yes.
information. Okay. What are some of the things or the resources that the NAACP offers the community?
So we have different chairs. Once you come to the branch, everybody becomes members. We get members signed up, and we have officers. We have a president. We have first, second, and third vice president. We have a secretary. We have a treasurer. We have assistant secretary and assistant treasurer. We have 26 executive committee members. And with that, all of them holds a different chair of whatever there is that's going out in the community.
Okay.
We have criminal justice, we have legal redress, we have housing, we have labor and industry, we have political. So we have every chair that a person chairs that whatever's going out on in the community.
Okay. Because I think a lot of times, and why I asked you to come, I'd say a lot of people are familiar with the NAACP, but they really
Right.
don't know what it offers them.
Right.
You have people who are working on jobs that experience discrimination.
Yes.
You have people who have experienced that with police officers,
Right.
and sometimes we just take it and move
Right.
on. And I wanted them to know what the NAACP was there for and who
Right.
they were there for,
Right.
which is all people.
Mhm.
And I wanted to be able to bridge that gap for my
Right.
age group and even
Right.
older,
Mhm.
who sometimes we just drive past Jefferson Street. That's where our branch is here,
Mhm. Yes.
and a lot of people don't know that their help is right there.
Right.
What are some of the, I guess, in your 17 years of dealing with the NAACP, what would be something that I guess really, really tugged at your heart?
Well, the reason I got involved is because I felt that I was being discriminated against. Because first I'm an African American and I'm a female, and I was working at a job where there were all Caucasian, and I was the only black female there, and so I felt that what they were doing to me was unfair, but I didn't know where to go or who would hear my story or lead me in the right direction that I need to go. So I went to different attorney office. I went to the chain of command at the job. I had no results from anywhere. So I was walking down Jefferson and I saw the NAACP. I was like, okay, well, let me go in here and see what it is that they're doing. And when I got in there, I got results. They told me how to get in touch with an attorney, and the attorney worked with me, and I have a home that I purchased from
All right.
them taking care of what happened.
Right.
A lot of people think that they're being discriminated against. No matter what happened, you're discriminating against me. And once you sit them down, and when they come to the branch, we have them to fill out a complaint form.
Okay.
And when they fill out a complaint form, I ask them to write down everything that happened, because once you start writing it all down, then you'll remember stuff. And I listen for the stuff that's not said.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, okay, well, in order to file a charge, there's 5 steps that EEOC looks at. And by looking at those charges, you have to fit in one of those categories in order for them to take your complaint.
Mm-hmm.
So you might not necessarily been racially discriminated against,
Right.
but you can be age discriminated against,
Mm-hmm.
or disability um, discriminated against, or a gender discriminate. So people don't really know until you actually talk to them. So education is knowledge, and that's what the NAACP does. We try to educate the public on different issues and topics that's going on.
Okay. Well, Mila, you have any questions for Sheryl?
Yes, I do. Putting myself in the shoes of a lot of the youth here in Nashville, Tennessee, and all over America, how do you voice or influence a undecided voter?
Well, we can't get involved. The NAACP as an organization in whole, we can't um, get into politicians. We can't tell a person who to vote for. What we do, we make sure that you're registered to vote. We make sure that if you have an issues or a topic with voting, we make sure that your voting rights are being taken care of. We make sure that a lot of people say, well, I can't vote because I'm a felony. Well, fill it out anyway. And we have different programs that will come in and say, okay, well, you know, that's gone, that's been erased, or now you are able to vote. But people don't realize that. They just think once felon, always felon, and I can't ever vote. So that's how we contributed to the elections that comes up.
Well, nice. My next question is a lot of events of violence, crime that's gone on now in 2016. My look, and I'm pretty sure with a lot of people, once you look on TV, the radio, you see so much police brutality. And sometimes it's a little bit more with the African American race on police brutality. You have terrorist attack and a lot of those things. So, what do you tell a young person that is pulled over by an officer and they feel like they've done nothing wrong, but to exercise their rights, what do you feel would be the best suggestion for whether you're African American, Asian, Caucasian, whatever, just to avoid a bad situation?
Well, before we could say um, comply to whatever they're saying. If they ask you your name, tell them your name. They ask for your license, give them your license. If you have no license, make sure you let them know you have no license. Whatever it is, the first thing you do, make sure you know what that badge number is.
Okay.
Make sure you ask them what's their name. And then whatever they're stopping you for, comply. We used to could tell them that. But now, even when you comply, you still end up shot, harassed, beaten, you know. So, I mean, my personal view, because I have a son, and I mean, when I go to sleep, I'm afraid that when my phone rings, I'm afraid that somebody's bringing me bad news, or when they ring my bell, I'm afraid. So all I can say is, don't talk back. Please do not talk back, because if you look at all of these killings that has been going on, it's because the police officer has gotten angry because you did not do what they asked, or you're talking back.
And you know, I think a lot of that frustration, not all, but a lot of that comes from frustration.
Yes.
Um, when you sit back and you watch some of these things and you feel that it's injustice it can anger you.
Yeah.
And so that's why I wanted to bring you in here, because I wanted people to know what their resources were and what were some of the positive things that they could do to get some of the right solution to the problem, because some of our young people are so misguided. They're going about it trying to correct it, but they're doing it the wrong way. And so that's why I thought it was another good reason to bring you in, because I want them to know they have resources that can help guide them in the right direction. And if they want to start things in their community, I mean, you all offer so many resources. One other thing I wanted to ask you about, because I don't even think people know as much as you all do help with, the adoption crisis, I'm going to call it, across America.
Yes.
What is your take on that? I don't think some people know how severe it is.
It is.
It's a crisis.
And it is really bad, and a lot of it that my own opinion and me going through this personally, I can speak on it. And I feel that because of the neglect from the state and of these children is the reason why a lot of this stuff is happening in this world, with robbery, murders, because they drop a child off and they let them go, and they have no funding, they have nothing for these children, and they place them with relatives, and when they place them with relatives, you don't know if that person have the income to take care of them. And so especially young boys, they'll say, well, I have to go and make my own money because I know grandmother don't have this money, I know auntie don't have this money, so I'm gonna go make my own money. But we have to pay attention to the little stuff, and that right there, it was little and now it's big, and it's causing a lot of stuff that's happening out here in this world.
Because these people who take these children in, whether it's family members or if it's a pure stranger, these people are due benefits that they're not receiving. And I've read on this and I've heard a lot about it, but I do not think people know the magnitude of how this is affecting everyone's community. Because once you place these children in these, whether it's a family or relative's home, they're on a fixed income already, especially if it's a grandmother or someone with disability. They're on a fixed income, and this baby now needs clothes and everything. You know, we can only imagine taking care of our children.
I have a prime example. There was a lady that was living next door to me, and she was 76 years old. She had already retired, so now she's living on her retirement and her pension or whatever. And the state came in and took her 3 grandsons away from the mother and placed them in the grandmother's care. So she was living next door to me. She had a nice home and everything. She had to now move out of that house and move into a 2-bedroom apartment because she could no longer afford the house, because now she have a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 10-year-old boy. And so, and she's 76, but they say, well, if they're related to you, then we don't have to give you money for them because those are your relatives. Untrue. It's untrue. But like I said again, the lack of knowledge is what gets us all the time. So we have to educate, and that's what the NAACP does. We come out in the community and have different forums and different stuff to educate the community of what's going on. So with the young people, when things happen with the young people, how to dress, how to speak, how to conduct yourself when you're being interviewed. We need jobs. They need jobs out here. You giving them a grandmother working at university, making what, $8 an hour. Now it's time for her to retire. She's been there 20-some years. Her retirement, she's making $300 for retirement because that's what the pay is. And so now mama and daddy is out working 2 and 3 jobs, and these kids are out here raising themselves.
Exactly.
You know, the school is kicking them out because now you in trouble and I'm going to suspend you, but you're suspending them and sending them into the streets because no one's at home. And we don't use the school as a babysitter,
Right.
but, you know, find other ways to discipline a child when something happened.
Right.
And because one nationality of children speak one way and another speak another way, they feel that one race of children are being disrespectful, but it's not being disrespectful. That's just how they was raised, and that's how they talk. If one child might say, good morning, how are you? One child might come and say, hey, how you doing? What's up? Because that's what he knows. So if we have to teach them better, but that don't mean he disrespect you.
Right.
But then now he's being sent downstairs and he's in the discipline, and you know things like that happen.
And see, I've been saying for many a years, I really feel like Metro needs a training on dealing with inner city kids.
Yes.
I'm just sorry.
They need
training. It, you know, these children, the culture has changed.
Yes, it has.
And to me, the school system just has not kept up. Even with the teaching tools they use. Luckily, some of these charter schools, and that's a whole nother subject to me too, because I think it's something up with that. But I can say some of them teach them a little different to kind of deal with this new world. And to me, Metro is just stuck in this old.
It's hard for a change.
Technology over the old way of educating children.
It's messing them up.
It's because me myself, I have 2 kids, and social media. You have cell phones, and you have so much to where they feel like they have to keep up. If not, then of course they're either going to lose friends or someone's going to say something about them. So me myself, I would love to go back to just go reading a book versus an e-book. I had a lady in church the other day. She was going through but she was actually, but you think when you pull that out, like, what is she doing with that in church? But it's her Bible on her iPad.
So have you ever went into a grocery store and the computer, the cash register have gone down, and the person is there like, you have to hold on a minute because we're not using our brains anymore. We don't have to use them anymore. And because of that, the world, it's changed, and all of this technology has happened, and people are forgetting how to use common sense versus computer sense.
Right.
And so once the computer goes down, now you have a long line in there because I don't know how to count and see how much money you'll get back from this $5 you just gave me, and your price was $3.55.
Well, see, you know, I think that is so funny that you say that, because I see it when I'm at my regular job. I deal with different children from different levels of income, and this child has not experienced anything that this child has gone through. And guess what? They're reading. They're on their iPad, but they're going to have their book in their hand. And that's been passed down to them. And you have this child over here who is several generations behind mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually.
Because we allow it to happen.
Yeah.
We allow it to happen in our communities. And we have to demand more. With all of this stuff that's going on and what's happening, we have to demand. And if we join together, and we can fight better in numbers, and let them know enough is enough. And this is what we need to start doing. And just like with the killings and all of this stuff that's happening. And then we'll all get together and go do a big rally, and we're upset and we're mad now. Okay, but what are we asking? we have to know what we asking
Asking
before we start demanding stuff.
Right.
Because once you ask for something, they're going to give you exactly what you asked for.
Right.
But if you don't know, do your research, understand, see what's going on before you start asking for
things.
anything.
Yes.
Because we'll have another Trayvon Martin. We've asked them to give George Zimmerman, we want a trial for him. And they gave him a trial. And guess what? We didn't have no demands with that trial.
Right.
We just asked for a trial.
That's true.
So they gave us a trial and they let him walk.
Right.
And so justice was done. So we have to know what we asking for before we start demanding and doing rallies.
I'm glad you said that, because that kind of opened my mind up to a lot of things, and I think that has been a big problem.
It is.
You have to know what you're asking
Mama
for.
say, ask and it shall be given, and then my mom would always say, well, be careful with what you ask for.
That's right.
Because you may get it, you know. So sometimes that's very true. So you have to be prepared, basically. Plan and prepare yourself, because any day anything can happen.
Right.
So
we go to the Capitol, we go down there to the council meetings, and we get in there and we're angry because we're not getting what needs to happen in the African American community. And so we'll go down there and we'll fuss and we'll fuss and we'll fuss, but then go down there with a plan. Go down there with what you need. They wanted to put the police headquarters on Jefferson Street, and it was 14 of us that's actually started this. And Justice for Jefferson Street. And we had people from everywhere. I mean, big people, property owners, business owners. Everybody was saying, you all need to stop. It won't happen. They're going to put that headquarters here. And it wasn't that we didn't want the headquarters there. We didn't want you to keep us in chains and bondage, because that's where we are. And so by placing a headquarters right in the middle of North Nashville on Jefferson Street, it did not look right. And then, 10 feet from the NAACP office.
Historic Jefferson Street
right.
at that,
And it didn't look right, and we didn't want that there. You could put something there that's going to be convenient for people in that neighborhood. They was like, well, it'll bring jobs. What kind of jobs could a police headquarters bring?
Right.
Well, they can have janitors. They need, that's all we are? No, why you won't say we can have one of those big offices up there? Because that's not who we are. So we have to demand what we want for ourselves, and then we'll get it.
So let me ask you something. With the change that is going on in Nashville, this music city is blowing up. From my perspective, and this is just my personal opinion, there is a lot of the natives are not enjoying this growth. What can we do, and this would be your opinion too, because I'm searching, and this is why I'm glad to be blessed to have the opportunity like this and have this platform. What is it, or what needs to be done where we can start bridging that gap, where our locals are feeling this growth and enjoying the growth? I know jobs, the pay is not keeping up with the growth. I know that's a major problem. What can, because I'm like, gosh, it's growing and they popping up buildings left and right, but from the people that I talk to, they're starving. And they're starving. They're starving working.
That's because so back to North Nashville. In North Nashville, there's the real North Nashville from 8th Avenue back to 28th. And then there's the new Germantown from 8th Avenue towards downtown. The only difference between poverty and power is one street, and that's 8th Avenue. So it depends on what side of 8th Avenue you're on.
that's true.
We have to stop that.
Because
We
I'm
have
new
to
to
stop
Nashville,
it.
and just driving through, you're kind of like, well, what just happened? You know, because you're just a street over, because you see all these beautiful condos, and then you see some of the lower poverty homes, and you can see this beautiful condo that if you're struggling and having a hard time, that there's no way you're going to be able to get in there. But that's a dream, and that's a beautiful vision for you. But 9 times out of 10, you can't afford the rent. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's really interesting to see, like you said, the one street difference, and you're just driving and you see the lower income homes and the people that are walking and having a hard time, and then you go a few streets over and you've got these marvelous condos that are being built, like Miss Kiva said. Every day the condos are just coming out of nowhere.
Because that's the new Nashville, and
Nashville.
it's right there where everything is happening, right in the middle of downtown. So that's gentrification.
Yeah.
That's what's about to happen, and it's here now. And so people from other states, from north, west, east, they're coming to Nashville because it's an easier place to live, and $1,500 for one of those apartments downtown is nothing to them when they're coming from where they're paying $15, $25, $3,000 for a one-bedroom apartment. So yeah, they're gonna love that, and it's gonna be a whole lot more.
Well, okay, we're getting ready to wrap this up in a moment. There's an election coming up.
Yes.
Can you let us know a little bit about the election?
So we're talking about the NAACP election.
That's right, that
We're
election.
we're having our election November the 17th, and if you're not a member, I love for everyone to become a member before October the 17th, because you have to be a member 30 days before, and we're voting for all of the positions: president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and the executive committee. So that's what's happening now, and that's what's taking place.
Well, Ms.
So
Sheryl, I thank you so much for your time.
appreciate
You've been
it.
very informative.
Yes.
And you all get out and vote
That's
on
right.
the 17th
Yes.
Of November.
of November. Get registered before then so you're able to vote. I want to thank you for watching Keva and Milla, Reaching and Changing Minds. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.